Hello friends, welcome back to Evolve Quest. I'm tuning in from this beautiful island in Thailand called Koh Phangan. This island that I'm on, Koh Phangan, it's really huge on personal development, and there's a ton of workshops happening here any single day. Many of them are really fascinating. And me and my husband recently attended a workshop that was called The Quality of Mind. It was based on the concepts of three principles. So it was presented by Martine Palethorpe Aly Hazelwood. And I've already done this workshop about a week ago, so some of the things are already fading. So I wanted to make sure I record this video to share some of the insights, because I think this is truly fascinating, but more so, it's really, really fundamental to our mental health. In this video, it's going to be a bit of a long one. I'm just trying to share a lot. It's been a 2-day workshop, but this will help you to learn or to remember how to live in a state of flow in your life, to live more in the state of presence and being connected and reacting to the situations around you as they happen, and have less sort of strong, all-consuming emotions in your life caused by, a lot of consuming thinking. So the ideas I'm going to share here will help you to be more aware of what's going on in your mind and manage it more effectively. First of all, we are constantly and sometimes incessantly thinking, most of the time. So they mentioned that, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, every day. And some of those thoughts might be of high quality and useful to us, and others might be of low quality. Low thought quality you can identify when you have a lot of noise in your mind, a lot of noise, so you can't actually concentrate on one particular thought. There's a lot of drama. There's like a roller coaster of thoughts and emotions. A lot of the time you get really consumed in the thinking. There's stories and narratives that you are telling about yourself, about the world, about yourself, about your partner or colleagues, that may not necessarily be true, but our mind just loves creating thoughts. And, if it's not doing anything else, it may as well be creating stories and dramas. So high thought quality is described more like wisdom. So it's less of your personal kind of engrossed, engaged thinking, and more like kind of insights that just sort of like come through you. They almost like occur to you. Like to me, they happen like when I go for a long walk, or when I actually do not think about the problem. I sometimes just kind of have a feeling that something is right or wrong. It feels quite calm and kind of decisive. So I call it intuition. So here it's described as wisdom. It's pure. For me, it's often relaxed and calm. And it arises when your mind is quieter, when there is less thoughts, less busyness going on in your mind. They call it impersonal thinking. And what happens in this state of mind, we live life almost like in a state of flow. We kind of like intuitively know and feel like what's the next right thing to do. We may make a plan for the future, but we're not super attached to it. We're actually living in the moment, responding to situations, to insights, to conversations, to ideas as they happen. I'd like you to think about a time when you've experienced flow, when you felt present in the moment, but also energized and inspired in what you were doing. So for me, it happens sometimes when I coach people, like I kind of stop thinking consciously, and questions and ideas just arise, and I'm sort of more like a channel and passing this on to the client. I'm not doing a lot of very kind of hard, very, very busy thinking about it. Or sometimes when I dance, I love ecstatic dance here on the island. It's fantastic. And so sometimes I just really get in the flow of it, and I feel kind of absorbed. I almost feel like I don't have an ego. I just feel like the music is moving me about. All of us at some point in our lives experience the state of mind. I'd love to hear in the comments, when have you felt most in the flow? If there is any thinking, it's of a high quality. It's more like a wisdom and insight that's almost coming through you, not from your mind. And it's a beautiful state to live in. I constantly go in and out of the state of flow in my life. And when I feel more in the flow, I just feel more alive, more present, more abundant. I become more successful in what I do, even though I'm trying less. It's wonderful. It's just the kind of state I want to live in. Not to say that you never think about the future and plan for the future, but you do that lightly. You focus on it, you make the plan, and you get back to your flow, taking the steps, enjoying the steps. Next big insight from this workshop, this actually was something completely new to me, is how to recognize those two states of mind, the high quality of thought and the low quality of thought. And it turns out that when you're in the low quality of thought, the way you recognize it is that you are having a very strong feeling, a very strong emotion. You're really agitated. You could be in a sort of more of a negative state. But what was really shocking to me, that you might be feeling a very pleasant, positive feeling or emotion, and that's in their construct still considered to be a low quality of mind. I've never thought about it that way, to be honest. But then they kind of asked me, like, have you ever done anything you regretted when you felt very happy or very energized? I'm like, yeah, I've done many things. I've paid like too much money to workshops that made me feel like extremely high. And then I regretted because the quality of it was not what I expected, but they're very good at creating a positive feeling there. Yeah. And then my other question to them was like, so how do you recognize then that when you are in the high quality of thinking, the high quality of mind? And that's a bit more obscure, I guess, different for different people. But what I've noticed in myself, if I'm recognizing this correctly, is that when I'm in this more kind of flow state, and when I'm receiving thoughts, more like wisdom that comes through me, there is this sense of calm and peace, almost like equanimity. So it's just some kind of like quiet inner knowing, and that's why I guess it's so difficult for a lot of people to recognize, and for me as well, a lot of the time, because it's quiet. But now that I'm aware of this, I actually will know better to recognize my intuition is when my mind is more still, there is more peace, and there is more kind of this inner certainty, quiet knowing. So what are you hearing so far? I'd love to know like how you're reacting to this information. Is this new? Is this interesting? Is this or not? And what is your experience of this? I don't want to make this video too long, but there is another thing that I wanted to share that I think is just so important for us to recognize, and something that I worked with for a while now, but it was just nice the way they've explained it. It's developing an understanding that all of our emotions come from thinking. And why I find it so revolutionary, this information, is because often emotions are so strong and they feel so real, and we can feel so engrossed in this emotion, so like in the middle of it, and we can act on it. When we act on the emotion, oftentimes, we regret our actions, or the actions are not as useful as they could be. If we're experiencing a strong emotion, the thing to do really is to unpick our thinking. What thinking is creating this emotion? I'm feeling shy, for example, in the moment. That's because I have a shy thinking. If I'm feeling confident, I'm having confident thinking. If I'm feeling sad, I'm having sad thinking. And if I really go to this thought, why I'm feeling sad, what am I thinking to myself that makes me feel sad, I can actually look at it and work with it and see if that's even true. A lot of the time, those thoughts are minimally not the full truth. A lot of the time, they're just wrong. It's oftentimes very hard to notice these things and to catch yourself because thoughts can be very fast. They come in flashes most of the time. We're not even conscious of it at all. And sometimes they come in images or sounds or even sensations. So they're very fleeting, they're very fast. And unless you start really paying attention to them, it's very easy to believe whatever's going on in our system and act on it. Notice when you're experiencing strong emotions, and when you do, just stop in that moment and see what thinking is creating these emotions. This for me was life-changing when I learned this about 10 years ago, that I do not have to believe my thoughts. Thoughts are not always true or real or come from the right place, and that I can change my thoughts, or I can be without this thought. Which now brings me to the next point. I work with positive psychology quite a lot. So when I would notice, say, shy thinking in my mind, I would go to, okay, so, what would I think if I was a confident person? I have something important to share, I feel at peace on camera, etc., or when speaking in front of people. And actually, this will help a lot of the time, and I'm still using those techniques. But what the three principles are talking about is that negative thinking and positive thinking is still thinking. It's something that stops us from being in the flow and reacting in our most resourceful way to situations around us. Once you already feeling better and there is positive results of the positive thinking, it will not take you that much further. At that point, you kind of just have to drop it and just to learn to be present and in the flow and not have thoughts about whether I'm shy or I'm confident. I'm just here, I'm just showing up just the way I am right now in the moment. And that feels like flow. And so if you'd love to have more of that in your life, do pay attention to your thinking when you're experiencing strong emotions. Do pay attention to your quality of mind. There are many tools to improve the quality of mind. I don't really talk about this in three principles, but you can research those. I mean, obviously, meditation is a big one for me, to help me observe my thoughts and manage my mind better. It's also not about fighting the thinking or trying to get rid of thoughts altogether. It's more about having the awareness that, okay, this is what I'm thinking right now, and this is what's creating this emotion in me. And it's not about kind of pushing these emotions away from you. It's more about being able to observe them. It's like, hi, isn't that interesting? This is what's happening with me right now. I'm feeling sad. And here's the sad thinking that I'm having. It's not really making sense to me, and yet I'm holding it in my mind right now, and hopefully this will pass tomorrow. And so giving it space. She shared something that I really like. She said, the less serious you are about an emotion, the faster it passes. And I've really experienced this in my life. When I'm feeling in a strong emotion, I just let myself experience it without taking action, without like putting, for example, this anger on my partner or someone I'm working with, but more like noticing, okay, this is happening. Let me give this space to be in me. And when I feel better, I will go and have that conversation and express what I was thinking. So instead of letting go of the emotions, it's more like letting the emotion be. Let it be. Okay, this is a lot of information in one go. I'd love to know what you're taking away from this and what are you wanting to put in practice straight away. Do let me know in the comments. If you have any coaching inquiries, email me to Katrin@evolvequest.coach. I hope this was helpful. This is, just to mention, this is my interpretation of what I've heard mixed with my experiences of what they were teaching. Do look up three principles and learn more about it if what I was sharing was of interest to you. And do subscribe to my channel for more ideas on how to live with purpose and inner peace. And I'll see you next time.